everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today I am so excited. We're going to be painting this tree. Now, this is a reference photo that you guys picked out that you're like, can you show us how to turn that into a painting? And I was like, there's a lot of little branches there, but I will show you how to turn it into a painting step by step. So even if you're a new painter, you're going to be able to make this for yourself. I love to do these community directed videos because it gives you guys a chance to have things that are on the channel that really speak to you or personal to you and are chosen by you. If you want to be part of those community votes and stuff, be sure and go by the Facebook group, the Art Sherpa Official, because that's where I generally put up those polls and votes. To help me do this really cool class today is my husband, John.
Hey, guys.
He is going to make sure that you can see everything I'm doing by zooming in and tracking with our extra good lenses and our robotic cameras. And what that does is that allows you to see the techniques happening as I'm talking about them, as I'm demoing, and which gives you a much better chance of like getting a result that you're excited about. Now, I would say that this is a 2-hoot painting, and that generally means that it might be a hard first painting because we're going to be doing some wet into wet blending techniques. However, even if a painting is ever above your current hoot level, I highly suggest you watch it and even try to paint along, because even if your painting is like, ooh, that was a lot, you're going to get so many skills out of it. You're going to get so much information. You're going to have a big art bloom. I am so excited about today. Can you guys tell? I'm like, we're going to paint. Oh!
You ready?
It's that kind of a day. It is.
I can see that.
It is. I'm going to sip my coffee because I need to calm down.
Yeah, that's what you need. Just take 2 deep breaths and drink some caffeine.
Yeah. I got my espresso beans over here dipped in chocolate. No, I don't.
Which, you know what you're going to do is we're going to give her some pixie sticks too, and not the little ones, like the giant yardstick ones that cause a cardiac arrest for anyone who's over 20 and tries one.
Now I just want to do one. It's the pixie stick challenge, but must be over 40 to attempt it. Because otherwise it's just like kids eating sugar. All right, let's get into this painting.
Okay.
Let's come over here and look at the colors.
All right.
So I am going to be working on an 11 by 14 surface. We will have picture in picture, but if you go to the website, you can get reference photos and you can get traceables, because I don't expect you guys to be able to draw when you're starting to learn how to paint. Now, I do love drawing. If you're in my Patreon group, right, we're learning about drawing and doing hands and stuff like that. So it's very cool to draw. There's a weird kind of thing like somehow the Sherpa doesn't support drawing. Of course I support drawing. That said, it is not the only art skill. There's a myriad rainbow spectrum, whatever you want to call it, of art skills out there. And you can pick the ones that have meaning in your life. And because of the way painting happens, we put objects in a very different way than when we draw, which is why I never put pressure on it. So no, it's not cheating to use the traceable. I mean, they teach you how to do it in art school. And projection. All right, let's go over and look at all these colors. Are we using every color here? Kind of yes, kind of no. I'm showing you the different tools that I'm going to be using. I've got some surprise tools I want to talk about. So if you were with me last night, you'll notice that I was kind of like, I have no fluid, soft-bodied paint. But then I realized, oh, I have these cool abstract liners that I haven't tested. How will that work out? I don't know. I don't know. Could be great. Could be awful. We're going to find out. At least you'll get a review on this product live and in the stream. Yeah. For sure, at least it will give me some nice black paint that's already thinned to help me do my branches, because that's one of the keys about doing fine branches. I also have some neon colors. These are the very cost-effective abstract pouch paints in orange and pink and yellow. But of course, I pulled out my very favorite neon pink on planet Earth, the whole biluminous Oprah. This is a very neat color, and unlike other luminous colors, guys, it lasts much longer than any of its competitors on the market for staying vibrant, staying colorful. The other colors I'm going to be pulling today are light Naples yellow, which is really a tight knit yellow. I'm going to do some cad red, quinacridone fuchsia, which is really a quinacridone magenta. I may do some zinc white and titanium white today. We'll see. This is a put to the side material. I like this paint because it's a transparent white, and sometimes I want a transparent white to do cloud effects, but I don't always need it, so I like to have it to the side. What that tells you when I put an art material to the side is that it's cool to have it, but it's not going to ruin your painting if you don't have it. I have more black paint. I've got a little ultramarine blue, a little cad yellow. No, that's Prussian blue, not phthalo blue. I need a phthalo blue. I'm going to grab a tube of phthalo blue. Doc's purple. I don't need phthalo green. So that's what happened. I grabbed my wrong phthalos. When you buy tons and tons and tons of paint, you get them in 3 packs, so it's not such a big deal. There's the phthalo blue. And I'll go ahead and just pull out. Actually, I'm going to just use this titanium white from the abstract because it's here. Yeah. So you guys kind of have a sense of that?
We do.
The other cool thing we're going to be using is our synthetic mops. So these are a nice dome brush. You can get them in, gosh, they're in Joann's, they're in Michael's, they're in Hobby Lobby, they're at Dick Blick's and Jerry's, they're everywhere. They're at the Brush Guys and King's Framing and Art. So these exist everywhere. This is a Princeton. These are my very favorite. It's called the Ultimate Varnish Brush by Silver. I never use it for varnish. It's a perfectly good varnish brush, but I would kill anyone in my family that uses it as a varnish brush because these are my best blenders and cloud makers. Now, I do have goat mops, which you guys are probably familiar with, but I don't use them because they break off hairs, they hold too much water. They do a lot of stuff in acrylic paint that I am not a fan of. So those are the unexpected things that I'm telling you about. Other than that, everything is just the usual deal. So I know that's a bigger intro than we normally go through, but the reason for that is that I want to make sure you guys know what you're going to be doing. Because sometimes, you need to know, like, what's going on with the materials, what's going on with things. And the best way for me to do that is to tell you. I'm going to put out some cad yellow. Gotta love me some cadmium yellow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. Squeeze this back up to the top of the tube. I need to get my tube bringer out.
Do you?
I do. The ultramarine I'll put out later. I like to pull ultramarine whenever I have a quinacridone magenta kind of color. And the reason is that they make a very soft lavender purple, which can be a great comparison to my Diox purple, which is super powerful. Putting out my cad red. Is that the biggest tube of paint in the world? When am I going to be using this? I'll tell you what. This tube of paint is going to last me so long that I'm going to have to clean the threads on the cap like 10 times. That's how long. That's how long.
That's how long?
That's how long. I'm just putting tubes of paint everywhere. It's just, they're everywhere. Now, this color is optional. I just really like it. I highly recommend it. Again, I have a whole blog. If you go to the website and you open up the latest blog, it is literally about this color. It also tells you what colors exchange for it and what companies make it. And those are in a variety of price points as well. I'm going to put this over here. My quinacridone. You could use quinacridone red if you didn't have this color.
I thought I could do that.
You could do what?
Do make it so that they can see you while you're...
Oh, really? Well, I'm just talking.
Oh, you're just talking.
Okay, now I'm going to look at my palette and be like, all right, you can kind of see that. All right, so the phthalo blue's already out.
Yeah,
John has gone and confused me now.
So you just do your thing, and that way they
I'm
can
gonna
see you
just do my thing. I'm going to put out a little of my ultramarine blue.
I'll make you a little smaller. So
I have allowed my tube to kind of crust over as they do sometimes, and so I've got to clean those out. There's this wild tube maintenance that we all have to participate in like all the time. It can be very challenging. I'll put out a little Diox purple. And let's kind of start this guy in sort of a different way. Let's pre-mix some colors, right? And then, we'll put out some white. We can add them to white, and that way we're not doing as many micro mixes. So when you look at this, you have this very kind of soft blue. It has a bit of a cool kind of factor to it. You could do primary cyan here as well and get a very good result. You could do primary colors here. So if you had magenta and primary yellow and primary cyan, that would also get you a very nice effect. We've got some nice pinks that are really warm, but we've got some soft purples that are very cool. So it's really going to be about trying to get all these in here, get them blended. And I think the best strategy that we have for that is to pre-mix kind of the basis of the colors that we have. I do want phthalo green. I put it aside because I'm going to make phthalo turquoise.
Make some phthalo turquoise.
I am. I'm going to make some phthalo turquoise.
Wait.
There we go. So this is going to be fun. Now, we're going to spend a little extra time on this because I know you guys want to have it be a little more like the photo.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to do that. To do this, the first color I'm going to make is I'm going to take one part of my phthalo blue to one part of my phthalo green. And then I'll have to put a little more phthalo green out there. I'm going to make a nice bit of turquoise up. And if I make the turquoise now, what's great is that I'll have a big amount of it. So I'm not having to mix and mix and mix. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
When you know that you're doing a large area, like a large sky area, if you pre-mix up these colors, especially when you're new and you know what you're mixing. So the phthalo turquoise is 1 part blue to 1 part green. All right. So you're like, oh, I need a little bit of that, and it's thoroughly mixed. I like to kind of collect it back up into a pile because it keeps it from drying out so fast. I will wipe off my palette knife, and I'm going to make another color. Now, one of the colors that I really love is magenta, like 2 parts magenta. I got to make sure I don't have any blue in there.
Uh-oh. We spy some blue.
Yeah.
Whatever will you do?
I will not worry about it because it's a small amount. I'm going to get a little of my CAD red into that mix. All right, and that's quite lovely. So that gives us a bit of a pop of something that we can then pull into some yellow or pull into some different colors. And then the other one I really like to do is some of my Naples yellow and some of my magenta.
You're just going to squish that in there.
What?
You're just going to get it all squished in.
Yeah. Right? Just a little bit. And I may put out some more pure magenta, but this is just a nice way to start. Now getting this really complex sky going may not be as challenging. We might want to go ahead and make a soft violet ahead of time too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, making a little paint ahead of time, again, is a good strategy because it keeps you from having to figure things out on the fly. It can be a little bit of a challenge for new artists, especially if they're trying to conserve paint. There it is. You know, so get your misters out, get your humidifiers out. Let's make a little bit of the soft violet. We've got Diox purple here, so it's nothing to deepen. All right? We're going to make a little bit of that quinacridone ultramarine violet that you get. And it is just a slightly different color than the Diox purple. And the other thing to think about that one is that if you add more quinacridone, it's got a much stronger warm bias. If you add more blue, it goes much more like cool and clear. And so those can be nice things. Let's put out some white. We definitely need some white. Where did my white go? I had a pouch of white just put aside for this moment.
Whatever happened?
I'm going to sip my coffee and think about what's going on in my world here.
You know what? Well, I have to say, everyone's really enjoyed the little mixing because we've got some. You did some really nice palette knife mixing there.
Well,
and we were able to get some really nice close-ups of those very pretty colors.
You know, and we'll go over it again so you guys remember. So phthalo turquoise, how do you mix that? That's 1 part phthalo blue and 1 part phthalo green. A soft lavender, that's your quinacridone and your ultramarine. This really warm, it's going to be like a peach coral. That's going to be a mix of your quinacridone and your CAD red. And then here we had a mix of our quinacridone and our Naples yellow light. I'm leaving my CAD yellow out because that I can pop it up warm real easy with that. So you'll see these colors are here to kind of pop them out warm or cool. I'll put out a nice amount of white, so I'm not short of any paint, right? Oh, I had white here. You're so sweet. No, I mean, I just made a mess is what it is. What it is my area is messy. Even though, like, I made it neat by the time I got into it. So what it is I'm at a really weird position on my table. And after the show, I'm going to have to probably do some filming stuff because I'm way back on the table, so everything is out of my reach.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll do change.
Yeah, we got to do some changing of some things here. But so I'm running out of space, too, to hold my stuff. So it's kind of creating a little bit of crazy chaos for me.
I will come scoot some stuff back for you.
No, it's okay. But we should do something about that after the show.
Actually, I have some good ideas.
Do you?
We have.
You always have good ideas. Like, seriously, John always has good ideas. There is the detail brush. So I'm kind of strategizing so later I'm not like, where be it all? Just trying to put things where I can see them so I'm not looking for them.
all your
Okay.
little stuff. You got a little pile. See, I'm going to show them your neat little pile of stuff up there.
Crazy little angle here
You
too.
got a little pile. See, they all lined up.
So, what I have here is an 11 by 14 surface. I have a wish on there for Beth to have a very great launch of her new venture. One I'll be telling you guys about later because I'm super excited about what she's doing. And then this is one that I'm putting out there because one of our longtime community members, she's such a wonderful citizen. The wish is forever homes for homeless pets. She's been out during the coronavirus crisis, making sure that exotic animals that have been rescued or fed, making sure that domestic animals that don't have homes during the crisis have homes, have food, are taken care of. And I think that's really amazing because it's important to take care of the people, but it's also nice to take care of the animals too, because we share the planet with them, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Coffee time. Okay.
Coffee
good.
time. I'm going to take my brush here and I'm going to get it slightly damp, as you do. Let me grab some more paper towels. I dropped my roll from earlier. It's a hot right now.
There's the picture-in-picture. We needed one of those.
That's going to be really good. And so, John, can you shrink that down a little bit for us? Yeah. So again, you can have that on the website to use as a reference, but we have it here just in case you want to see that while we're working. Now, up here at the top, that is sort of where our blue began, right? So I'm going to get my turquoise very lightly on my brush. This is my nice little mop. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to begin to kind of mop this out. And you can see how these brush strokes are a back and forth, right? They're soft. I'm just putting my initial bit of paint up. I'm going to come get a little more white into this, blending it in, as you do. And you'll see me wipe off on my paper towel, right? And that's me just constantly managing my water and paint ratio. Sometimes these don't show on tutorials, these little movements, either because they're in speed paint or because they're just off camera. So I just want to make sure you guys know that as I'm painting, I'm kind of wiping off and maintaining on my paper towel. All right, I'm going to rinse this out pretty thoroughly because the next transition is going to be in a whole new color. It's good to have a couple cups of water when you want to rinse it out. And then I'm going to dry out the brush, right? I'm going to totally dry it out. And then I'm going to get just a smidge of this little lavender color that we made. And we're going to blend it coming into the clouds here. See how that is? Isn't that pretty?
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes in acrylic painting, there's a feeling that you can't get these oil effects that the oil artists get. You totally can. I'm going to wipe off and then pick up a little more of my purple paint, with white. So you can see it's a little different than a Diox purple, isn't it? And I love Diox purple in my dioxazine purple in my art palette. It's just a powerful purple. It's almost hard to mix any purples with that kind of pigmented strength. So it is one of those colors that you can't really make a good hue of. You can make a hue of any color, but it won't be a good hue. It won't be mixable. It won't perform the way the pigment would. It would only be good as a single color laid over a canvas. So you can kind of see how we're starting to get that soft, valued sky. Now, again, mop, okay? I recommend this one. If it's out of budget or unavailable, this will work. This is Princeton. I don't even know. This one from Princeton, 1 inch.
The blue one.
The blue one from Princeton, 1 inch. You can also get these for small detail events that are really nice from them. That's doable, but this is my recommendation. I am rinsing out. As I come down, right, we've got little purples and pinks, but we're trying to get this sort of baseline going that you have. I'm going to go ahead and take a little of that Naples yellow into my quinacridone CAD red mix and begin the basis of this. Lots of little sky effects to do. But we're trying to create a sense of dawn, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
My pressure is very light, guys, on this nice brush. And I'm just trying to get this first layer. I'm going to do a couple layers to get this cloud effect, which is why this is probably a 2 hoot over 1 hoot, just because there's some layers and some branch work. The painting itself won't be particularly hard. It's just new to mix these kinds of colors and do these kinds of techniques, isn't it?
So Essa would like to know.
Hi, Essa.
If you don't use your ultimate varnish brush for varnishing, what do you varnish with? Disposable chip brushes.
Well, no, I don't want anything, as long as they're synthetic, because you don't want hairs in it.
No, you don't.
So if the surface is smooth, I will do a brush on varnish. If the surface is rough from Impasto Techniques, I do a spray on varnish, and to say I do it, I don't do it, John does it.
Yeah. And generally we try to
because
do
I'm allergic to the propellants.
Yeah, and generally if we're going to varnish, we try to spray on varnish first, because it doesn't involve any brush working that could complicate the surface. But it's not always possible, and varnishing is an art form in and of itself, so please take note that when you go to varnish, it's a deep dive, and you should do some research before you
always do some research.
It's a big thing. So
I'm going to get a little more of my purple here. If my brush is dry, I can dip a little bit into water. You don't want it to be wet, right? And you just want to continue to create this depth. That first blended depth. Isn't that always a nice thing? Oh, here. So put a little yellow there. Does some beautiful stuff. And that's my Naples yellow. And I'm just softly brushing. Rinsing out. And again, just getting that sense. Now, really the top of the tree comes here, and we are going to have some pink that comes above this, and we're going to have little bits of purple pinking out. So it's just kind of good to keep that in mind when you're doing the sky. I'm going to go ahead and get into my blue again. And a little bit of white. My brush is damp. And you can see the sky becomes richer and more beautiful as we work it. Because we're going to work it, guys.
Yes.
And get right into the purple. I haven't even rinsed out. I'm going to bring that up here, and you can kind of see that I'm thoughtfully putting it out now. That kind of flicking stroke, right? This isn't like one stroke where it's a stroke technique that creates a leaf repeatedly. This is a motion and a pressure that you can get used to and practice over time. That can be kind of fun down here, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even getting into my docks yet at all. At all. Just putting a bit of this here and there because it's going to be peeking out. Rinsing out. Really, oh, it's getting pretty already.
Oh, yeah.
Really am looking forward to this kind of, picking up and being gorgeous. This is the Naples yellow and quinacridone. where I know I want to have like more kind of glowing yellow.
Mm.
I add that naples to it, and I can come up here and using just corners of the brush. Do you guys see how that's done? So like I have a set of brushes called cloud brushes, but I wouldn't use them on this because this is a very soft blended diffused technique. And I wouldn't necessarily use my Cambridge on here either, because I'm trying to get that very exciting sky, which it already is kind of coming into, isn't it? I can always get a little white into that. Just important to make sure you have just enough flow. When I dip in, I got to tell you guys, I'm like sneaking up on my water, and I just barely, like, see that? Barely. If you guys are dipping in deep, you're going to pull too much water into each stroke. That's an area where, remote learning, virtual learning is the awesome sauce, but that's an area where remote learning can kind of trip you up. Can't it? Now I've got a bit of landscape sort of happening down low, and it's definitely warmer. So where it's warmer, guess what we can get involved? We get our had yellow into this, and even some of our white, right? Because we're making a kind of a warmer color. Softly, 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 softly. Just playing with these colors. We're going to get there. It's going to be gorgeous. Nobody's going to have anything on us. Now, it's a good idea to dry thoroughly your sky at this stage.
Yeah.
How do we like it so far, guys?
I think it looks great. Look at that. I mean, it's just got a nice blend.
And so far, we haven't had to get into the diox at all.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I told you. I made a little thing there for
you. You made a thing. Look, he made a thing with a hook and a hook, and I won't lose it anymore.
Okay. So, yeah. And that's a convenient strap so that you don't use heat. It's a reminder to not use heat when you're drying your surface, and there's a reason for that. The reason you don't want to use heat is that heat can cause color change, color shift, which is where it subtly changes from one color to another, generally from a dark to a light or a light to a dark, depending on what you're doing there. But generally, darkers get lighter in acrylics. So don't do that. If you can avoid it at all, just use your lowest heat setting, and that will avoid that problem in general. So that's really your public service notice announcement for paint color shift. So other than that, don't forget to check in the link in the description down below for a place to find all the kind of cool things that you will need, like traceables and a link to our website and all of the cool stuff that we have over there, resources for you. It's just stuff, endless and then endless amounts of resources.
What?
On our website.
There are. I like to have resources on the website.
There are website resources. What are you doing over there?
I'm taking a picture so I can put up where, like, on the website this stage. Because sometimes when we have a complicated painting, if you guys have pictures of the stages,
taking pictures.
Yeah, it's a thing I do for my community. Because honestly, you guys, what you can see, for the most part, with practice, you guys can do. But the first trick is for me to be able to get you to see what's happening. And then you guys, the job that you do is to practice those techniques and practice those color mixes. But it's a lot easier to do when you can see it, is it not?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to chalk some areas in here. You don't need to chalk in. I'm just doing that so you guys kind of know a thinking process that I have, right? Mm-hmm. While I'm chalking in, Don, you want to scope for questions? Did we miss any questions?
Oh, yeah, I've got a couple questions for you here.
Okay.
So, is there any way or color cues to know the difference between dusk and dawn? Zoe was like to know.
Yes. So it's interesting. There's a couple of components that are going on. One of them is that your eyes see colors differently in the morning and at night. So that definitely impacts it. generally Dawn colors are, according to NASA, like richer and more colorful.
Hmm.
But like technically, but they're softer, right? Like if it's a sunset, right? Those are generally deeper, brighter, richer colors. The colors of dawn is softer, even though it may be much more saturated. So one of the things I highly suggest is there's a whole article on NASA about dawn and dusk and how it affects our eyes, which I found very, very fascinating. I see it. What is the stick? Oh, I was like, there's this thing going along the set. I'm like, these are live, guys. These are live art classes. So, anyways, definitely I highly recommend reading that. And that's just something to think about. And then when you're up, really sort of notice it. I think the colors tend to be more pastel, even when they have beautiful, rich things. I think I see more corals and more of the lavenders and soft ceruleans than I do at sunsets, where I get into the oranges and the purples, or the you've seen that blue, orange, yellow, which is a really hard sky to paint. We did that at Acrylic April a couple times because that's really hard to go through, right, without getting a weird green middle, isn't it? So I took a little bit of chalk here, and what I'm kind of trying to do is tell myself where my blue zone is, right, that I'm kind of seeing, and where I've got to have some pink peeking up. Now, at this stage, if John zooms in, it's still pretty streaky. See that that's still pretty streaky?
Yeah.
I want to show you guys this so when you're at home and you're looking at yours, you're not in a total state of panic. Because it would be very easy to get in a total state of panic. Very, very easy to get. But now we're going to come in here and we're going to make it not streaky. We're going to use stronger mixes, heavier mixes of paint. All right. And we're going to come in here. I may bring in some blue. You'll notice I'm kind of taking it down in an uneven edge. If you get more white onto it, that's okay, right? Because the sky has lots of tonality into it. We're going to just get right in there and work that out. It's going to be very interesting. And outside of this interesting color mixing proposition that we have to make this really dreamy sky, which, let's be honest, was probably filtered and color was probably added, not by me, but by the photographer, to make it a more attractive photograph a little bit to the eye. But guess what we can do as artists? We can top that.
You can.
We can. So you can see I'm not streaky anymore. I might get into my blue and white, which is sort of different. And I may come here and talk about perhaps a little bit of a cloud there. But I don't want it to be too noticeable, so I'll wipe out and make sure it's sort of soft. These are sort of darker. That blue lets me, can you see that there? It's like, it's a subtle thing, but boy, guys, it's a big thing. Where I come in with just the phthalo blue and I make those wisps and those little bits of clouds.
Yeah.
Because these all have very different tonalities, and I want to make sure that we can see that. Oh, that's gorgeous. Look at that there. Rinsing out. This is definitely hard on the paper towels.
Now, Mackenzie was asking, is there any way to paint this with the craft paints like your apple barrel or your your craft entry paints?
I don't see why there wouldn't be.
Yeah.
So what you'll be challenged against is the craft paints will sometimes have less pigment. Depends on the company. Americana Deco does a pretty good job, and they sell traditional artist colors. So you can get phthalo blue, you can get quinacridone, you can get these colors. Plus you can get a myriad of other colors. The trick will be is they're soft body paints. So you're going to use so much less water than I am. You're almost going to paint waterless, practically. I would use a floating medium or some other type of thing to even thin. And it'll be, again, about what I'm doing, which is layering and glazing. I have seen artists do fantastic, drop dead, totally gorgeous paintings with craft paint.
Hmm.
Craft paint is real paint.
Yeah.
But it just takes more from you, the student. You have to do more to get the result.
Also, can I make a note there
Mhm.
that they also have a delineation between the mixable and non-mixable paints.
They really do.
So sometimes if you get a non-mixable yellow, it won't mix to the color you think it will. So make sure
It really won't. I'm
Yeah,
going to put a little bit of my CAD yellow here and definitely agree with John wholeheartedly.
Yeah, so craft paint out of the tube generally does much better than trying to mix it.
See how bright that is right there?
Yeah.
Now what I'm going to do here, and I'm just working the corner of this brush. I told my mom I don't use these as varnish brushes, and she's like, what do you use them for? Because it's her favorite varnish brush. I gave her one in one of the sets, and she's like, you use it for something for varnish? And I'm like, you use it for varnish? You're a mad woman. I'm going to get some white onto here. And I may even, kind of get some yellow. The reason that I do that is that the pinks behind the tree where the sunburst is coming out will be a little bit warmer. They'll be a little more yellowed, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You can see now I'm taking advantage of my blends for sure. But now I'm coming in here and making some of these soft little wispy clouds that we see. The other brush does that. That brush kind of does that for me in some sense. It's a friendly brush for those effects. Gotta be careful with the load, but once you get the load, you're okay. Come over here and get some of this too, because that was a little bit higher. So you can see this is how we're getting the blues and the purples to work together in the way that we see them here in this painting. And now the streaking is going away and these clouds are starting to become like, whoa! Yes, we've got it. You've got it. We've got it. If you came in, this mix was quinacridone magenta and cad red. This mix was quinacridone magenta and Naples yellow light, the one that's the tight knit yellow, the PY53. We have cad yellow here. This is a mix of phthalo blue and phthalo green. This is ultramarine. This is Docs, just in case we need it, but we haven't needed it. This is quinacridone and ultramarine. And then I've just got a little titanium white in the middle. Just in case you just popped in and we're like, what is going on? Now, the other thing to think about when you're doing clouds in a situation like this is the light source, right? Because that light source will light up the clouds in a very particular way, and you definitely want to capture that because sometimes the underside of the clouds is lit while the top side of the clouds is not. In the center, I'm going to start by definitely adding the Naples yellow. You could add a mixture of cad yellow and white here. Just would be a lot brighter, which you may find you like.
You may.
Now, if I need to blend out some edges, sometimes what I can do is rinse out very thoroughly and wipe out and then very carefully dust that center.
Dust it.
Dust it. The answer, my friend, is dust it in the wind. See, I can soften it there. Just a little bit on that edge. The trick will be not lifting the paint up underneath, and that's about your paint binding. Because, it binds or it doesn't bind. True facts.
It's Schrodinger's paint.
It's bound or it's not bound. You'll know right away. You'll know right away.
Just open the tube and you'll know.
You'll know. Get in there and blend those little bits out. Just play with it. This is the most relaxing part for me. When we paint online, we go so fast, right? But I'm going to kind of just really get into this because I think I want you guys to see what it takes to really get here. Hard to manage expectations on a speed paint, isn't it?
It is.
You're like, I don't know how long that was supposed to take. I'm getting more of that.
It took that long, though.
It did. It takes what it takes. And that's the thing that we've got to kind of address. I want to blend that a little bit. So sometimes I'll get in there and I'll be like, oh, I don't like that blend. That feels very harsh. Come back with my damp brush.
Now, if you're experiencing any lifting, that's from not
Extra
drying.
paint is not binding. And so there's a couple of things that can be causing that. Too much water to your paint. Some paints are more water sensitive than others, like the abstract acrylics can be water sensitive. And what you want to do for that is just allow a longer curing drying time. There's an article on justpaint.org about how much water is too much water. And they have totally turned the art world on its ear about the issue of underbinding, because they found that even if they did washes with the acrylic, well, at least their acrylic is formulated beautifully. So there is a caveat there that we have to apply to this study. But with the golden acrylic, what was really fascinating to watch and see was that with 3 weeks, even paint that I would have thought wouldn't have bound. That was, I don't know, interesting to me. Maybe it was only interesting to me. I'm going to get a little of my cad yellow into my Naples yellow here. And kind of dust some of these little cloud bits, right?
Mm-hmm.
With some warmer colors. You know, use your references. They'll help you find what you're looking for. And I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But I'll get there. There's a little more. See how strong that cad yellow is?
Yeah.
It's too much.
It's a very strong cad.
Too much. It's too much. So what happens when you get too much? Whoa. Clean the brush. Now it's wonderful. Now it's a happy accident. When you have tools to fix issues in your painting, that's when you get to call them happy accidents. Because they are. You're like, oh, well, that's a nice little pop of cad yellow. And always kind of fun to see what's going on. Okay, and now I'm going to kind of use, see how this brush is sort of shaped here? I'm going to kind of use it to talk about some of those little more down low areas with some oranges. See what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
Because we have some orange down here, don't we? Around the tree. Fun sky to do. I could mess around with the sky all day. I know John has other stuff to do, but
I'll just sit here and paint the sky all day long.
I would.
I know.
If people didn't have someplace to go, I would be like, let's do this all day, all day, all day. And do it all day. I think I just went a little bit Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm taking my cad yellow and my cad red. Look at that. Mm-hmm. Look at that pop of orange.
Ooh.
Isn't that wonderful? And we haven't even gotten our neon into it, have we? What? I know, we can make this better than even the picture. I can do more than what the photographer could do. Da-da-da, da-da-da. Around the tree, a little bit of glow. It's, backlit. And you can see what I mean about having these colors pre-mixed out. Let's get our little dome scumbler into it. I'm going to get a little bit wet, maybe pull some cleaner water up. This is a Princeton Select Round Blender. It's the same shape as my cloud brushes, but it is soft instead of stiff.
Hmm.
I see how I'm adding a little bit of purple into that.
There's an interesting question.
I have an interesting answer why I paint the sky that will never end.
So, Sherpa, where did your aprons and hats go?
They're in a tub.
They're in storage. Tupperware. Big
I don't
Tupperware.
not love them anymore. That didn't happen. It's just they're in a tub now. I got the brush wet and I can kind of blend those out here.
We just realized unless we had a wardrobe change, we were never going to get one.
Yeah, it was getting to be that time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like, well, this is good, but you might want to not wear a hat someday. So
Someday.
let's not hat for a while.
And we didn't hat for a while.
We've not had it in a
You
while.
can hat if you want to.
We can. You'll be a
We
little
can.
mad, but you will. You can hat.
So just playing with those here. It's just nice to get a little round brush and kind of play with the sky because you can do some crazy things. Like say if I take this over here and like this, I can get some crazy colors that are wonderful and exciting and I still haven't even gotten into my zinc.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't even gotten into my blue and put any blue into this, which would come back over the top and pop. What? Yeah, it will. Isn't that amazing? Play with it, enjoy it,
Mm-hmm.
tell its story. Tell the story of the cloudscape that you're painting here online. So I'm just dancing those clouds in. This is going to be so pretty.
It's been a long time since you've had some little brush hellos.
Did I have a little brush? Hello, hello.
Emma says hello.
Who?
Emma.
Hi, Emma. How are you doing?
She's watching today with us.
I always love what Emma watches. Thank you for watching, Emma. We appreciate it.
We appreciate all the little brushes who come and join us.
Really do. Because Art Early,
Now, what brush is that you're using?
this is just the Princeton round blender. It's
Okay.
it's a dome scumbler but soft. So when they're soft, we call them a blender. When they're stiff, we call them a scumbler.
Sylvia was asking, did I hear something earlier about drawing lessons?
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Well, it just so in the patronage, I put up topics and they vote, and right now we're learning how to draw and paint hands. Lots of drawing and painting of hands. And I have to just to brag on everyone who's participating and blown away with the results.
I have to say, I've been very, very impressed. There's some very handsome photos going up on Facebook.
You're a lot.
Well, it happens. I came from the land of pandemonium.
Not a land down under.
Well,
Men
it's
don't
adjacent.
blow, women don't thunder.
It's adjacent to that land down
It's
under.
adjacent to that.
Yep.
So see how we take this sky that we see, and make it even more wowy. It's more wowy. You didn't think it could be more wowy, but what is it? It's more wowy.
Mhm.
Just playing. Why do we play? Because we can. It's
Because-
too fun to do. Right? And we haven't even done a radial light thing out of it. Stand back and see how your sky is.
Stand back and see the sunshine through the trees. Or tree.
Stand back in the middle of your room. I could not hear you. It's alright, it's alright. Standing in a line.
I feel like it's our tree in the middle of the view.
Our tree. It's the one we like to do. poetry.
It's how we get the content ID.
We don't. What? No.
Here's
Here's the truth. I do get music trolled. There are all kinds of music trolls out there that try to steal from me as often as they can. And how they do that is they just put claims on any of my videos with pre-recorded music that we pay for, that we license. And then we have to go back and do it. I've never been content ID'd for anything I sing. And I feel like it's like Simon Cowell in the sky saying, no.
No.
Don't even.
You're not even close enough that you have to pay for that. It's fine.
Right. It's that bad. It's like, yeah. That's cute. Aren't you cute? I just can't help myself to do these things. Because look, it's just so fun, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. Fun, 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 fun. Mm-hmm. Now, see, I'm going to put a little bit of light under some of these. There is a very important step.
I'm going to give a little plug to you for a moment because there's a relevant question. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Sylvia was asking,
Sylvia.
I can't find your patron area. And I was like, well, that's not a problem. They dropped a bunch of links and she was like, but I'm on the app. And I was like, well, there's probably the thing. We're not on Patreon. We have our own website patron app. So if you check the link in the description down below, you can go there and you can find it because on our website, we offer our patrons a lot more involvement and sort of a view behind the scenes than we can by using something like Patreon. So if you check over there, that's where you'll find that information.
What do y'all think of the sky now? Do you feel wowed enough yet?
I like it.
I don't know if it's wowing enough yet.
It's wowie.
Is it though? Is it really?
It may be Maui wowie. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. There's some Hawaiian folk among us, so I'll wait to hear from them.
I don't know.
Having not set foot there myself.
Make the Hawaiians angry at us.
I'm sure.
I am never speaking to you again.
I invoke the rage of our most friendly of Pacific neighbors.
That'd be like making Sandra on a Superstore mad. You just don't do it. So just trying to make sure that our tree is going to have a little bit of kind of radiant light, right?
At least I knew that Maui was a part of the Hawaiian chains and was located in the Pacific. So, hey, I'm 3 for 3.
We're like bragging now. We're like, but I knew a thing.
But they're like, but wait, it's in the Atlantic.
What?
No, I'm just joking. Geography check.
Well.
We teach art, not spelling.
I can't say anything when I was on a trip with my mom to France. This is embarrassing
confused.
to admit, but I'm going to share my frailty with you. And hopefully you'll feel better about your own. So I'm reading the map because I'm generally better at the map. And I'm not driving, so safer, right? And I kept going, I don't recognize any of these countries. The names are all wrong. And my mom had to be like, no, that's we call them other things, but they call themselves this.
That's right.
And I was like, oh, that's not good on foreign policy.
We have a completely different set of names for some of these countries than they have for them.
She was just practically falling out of her chair laughing.
First time European travel. It gets you.
Oh, it did. It got me. And it got me. Okay. So I have some nice little beginnings of this here. I get asked a lot how I did the sky for my patron painting. You guys will get eventually if the thing ever ends. And this is kind of the process by which...
It really is. It was a lot of this.
There's a lot of this. And then me talking to people and a lot of this.
And then a lot. Yeah. So if you're a patron, you can go over and watch that video. There's a lot of this.
No, that was their Chiclet.
Oh, that's right.
That I didn't do a lesson of. This is kind of like, this is how that sky got done.
Well, I remember watching it.
Now, I want to ask you guys, do you want to zhuzh it up? is this enough or would you like to push it further? I'm going to say you said yes, push it further because I've met all of you. I'm going to put out my Luminous Opera for a minute because it's going to do some really crazy things. I'm going to just get it on my brush. Mm-hmm.
They all agree we should push it.
Yeah, I guessed it. I went ahead and pushed it before I heard back from you guys just because I was like, they're going to want to push it. Push it real good.
One of the things I've forgotten.
I'm going to take my CAD yellow into this color because it's going to make the most psychotically bright.
See, I forget that we now have the different delay modes for the streams. So there's a new feature where you can set multiple delay lengths.
Oh, yeah?
We're generally on the longest delay length because it provides the best viewer experience. And, our questions can have a few second delay. So it's...
How do you guys like the mixture of the Luminous Opera into it?
Oh, they love the Luminous Opera. I'll tell you right now. Everyone's just been going, neon it up, and whoa, wow, push it. Lots of thumbs up comments. Yvonne just said, what is that crazy pink?
That is Luminous Opera
And there
by Holbein Acrylic. Not every acrylic company makes an opera pink. No other company makes the Luminous Opera.
It's a singing pink.
It's a singing Luminous Opera.
See, told you.
Luminous Opera. Luminous Opera. And if I mix it with CAD yellow, then I'm going to see some really crazy stuff on my painting. Then I'm very excited about. The people be like, how'd you do it? How did you do it? And I'll be like, I'll never tell. Unless you watch my YouTube show, and then I'll tell you everything. And I just can't get enough.
Wow.
I just can't get enough.
The bottom of those clouds just lit up with that paint. And I just can't seem to get enough of you. You can put them back as you need to. You guys like it? Mm-hmm.
I feel like we made a pretty cool sky. Do you guys feel like you would be proud of this sky?
I think this is a fantastic sky.
I think we need to increase our yellow here.
Yeah? You need to get the sun focus in there?
Yeah. I think we're going to need to do that. So some of this is going to have to just happen. Because we know we're going to need it in a minute. So at first I'm just kind of... Right, so it's just in there for a second. We know we're going to have to put these radials. And we're going to have to do it twofold if we want it to look spectacular. I don't know. Do you want it to look spectacular? I can never tell.
Oh, yeah. I would definitely want that.
I'm going to put out a little more of my nipples yellow light. For the tree. For the tree. And I'm also curious what happens if I just take a little Naples light over to the luminous pink, which is definitely off topic, but whoa! Okay, that has to be a couple places. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I love that. Just can't seem to get enough.
I can't get enough of that cloud. And that pink is so poppy.
It's so poppy. It's so poppy. It's I am poppy.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's so poppy. It's a meme.
It's so poppy. It's. The Titanic Sinclair project. It is not.
It's just
Don't attack me.
That was
I don't need the cult. Nope.
just respect for the performance art.
Yes, that's all we're saying. We're not trying to grow our YouTube channel by starting some crazy YouTube war. I mean,
Although,
it doesn't suck, right?
yeah, that's looking pretty good.
That looks pretty okay.
I like it.
Pretty all right. Now, I am going to do my zinc white. If you don't have the zinc white, but you have your glazing medium, it probably will work as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I'm going to do that is that I want a very transparent white. So if I did it with a titanium white, it would be just white streaks. And I guess I'm going to keep using this because you know how me, when I get into a brush, why would I ever change what I was holding? So let's say we'll put it here with some white. Let's say our tree the sun is centered kind of there off of our tree, right? We'll do this with a titanium white for just a second.
RS asked about one of my favorite brush names that he's asking, or she, do you use a Deerfoot stippler?
I can. The Deerfoots always kind of let me down. They let me down. But that would work for this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I prefer the dome to the Deerfoot shape, but that's a preference. That's who I am. That's my preference. It's not,
Who would have thought?
Angry at the Deerfoot stippler.
You're more of a horse person. Not much of a Deerfoot.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That looks good. I thought you were getting paint.
I don't want to take out all my hard cloud work, so I've got to be super careful with this.
And there's Mark. He says he's loved this blending with the soft brushes.
Hi, Mark. How you doing today?
He's on like a bazillionth
Paintings
painting.
of his daily paintings.
Yeah.
Mark is on the Art Sherpa design team. I'm just saying that now because I'm proud to have him on the team. No, he's not doing anything currently for me, but he just does a lot of cool stuff, and he's been on a daily painting for more than a year without missing a day. It's pretty extraordinary. Okay. You could just put a little low landscape and call it done.
You could. This could just be the
You could be like,
sky.
It's all done now.
You could just call that good morning. That could just be your good morning painting.
Good morning, stars.
You know it'd be kind of cool
The sun says hello.
if you did a mural of that above your bed and then edge lit it so that
That'd be nice.
so that the lights would
This
come
would make
on
a
when you woke up
fun
in the morning.
mural.
Yeah, it would.
And I would do one of those and make a video of it, but
Time.
I don't trust YouTube. To be fair to it.
No, it takes a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. I say this to my team a lot. The juice not worth the squeeze.
Mm-hmm.
My kids get murals, though. They
Yes.
get anything they want. It's kids. All right, so doing pretty good. Feel like we've got a little hot spot going.
Yes.
And we haven't even done our tree. Let's dry it so we can
Okay.
rest our hand on it. Let's heat coffee. Let's kind of reset,
Okay. Well, we'll have to do that in stages.
right? Because I'm going to pull my, probably going to pull my paint back.
What? So
You want to do the pea break thingy?
I can do it. I can do a 3 minute. And
I'm
then,
going to dry this real fast.
Okay, what are you doing that? So while she's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and set us up here for a little break while not that one, this one. Okay, so I'm going to reset this, and I'm going to go ahead and throw us over here to a little break, and we'll probably be back in about 3 minutes. Could be a little bit more than that. If it's not 3, it's 6. So we'll see you guys shortly.
White sand. ocean. Soft-stepped hard shells, shallow whispers in deep swells. Help me catch my breath, we're getting higher. Imagining your face, you're my desire. Meet me under the ocean. Save me from surface rejection. Tell me you crave my affection. Forever be waves of my ocean. Take me back to where it all began. Show me myself without the shell. When beauty was enough to save you from yourself. Make me under the ocean. Save me from surface rejection. Tell me you crave my affection. Forever be waves of my ocean.
Hey guys,
Not lovely. We have a little sky, don't we?
we do.
We do. So I've cleaned my palette. I pulled out my detail brushes. I've got the two tools I'm hoping to use, right? You guys have the traceable for this. If you're using the traceable, this would be the point when you would put that on there.
Mhm.
So this would be the time that you would do the either the Ceril paper or the rubbing chalk on the back and transfer the image onto here. If you're not confident about doing trees, but let's just go ahead and go for it, right? So I have a new tool that I've never used before, and I'm going to put out some of the paint from it over here because I think it'll be a little thinner, and it doesn't seem to be a little thinner than my other paint. I'm going to put out some Mars Black. All right, I'm going to put out a little Mars Black. And I will go ahead and kind of try to thin it out a bit now with clean water. I'm going to take a nice big round brush and try to put some water over here to improve it. You can add up to 30% water to heavy body paint. And if I don't have any fluid paint already in a bottle ready to go, this is my alternate way to kind of thin it down.
Ah,
But the trick is that you've got to incorporate the water into the polymer binder and the pigment to get the result you would with the fluid paint. So it's got some time in it. And I've got this little bottle. I'm going to try to maybe use this little thing for branches. We'll see if it works. I'm going to do it in a place that won't be such a big deal. Right? Not such a big crisis. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to kind of make a little sketch. Oh, goodness.
did the microphone run away on you?
Yeah. It likes to creep down my shirt. So I'm going to come along the bottom here and just kind of create a very low landscape like what we have here. I'm not even going to incorporate the bushes into it. I just want to know where my ground ends. And I'm going to give myself kind of a scale. Okay?
Okay.
So my trunk, it runs up. Right about here, the branches sort of branch around. And they're going to go up to about there. This is just a tactic I would do to paint anything that I was painting. just to give myself a sense of how far do I go? What am I doing? What's happening? And the first thing is to paint like your support branches. Right. So let's give our tree a little bit of a knot out there, and we remember that trees do get thinner as they grow. We always got this right here. Sort of a start trunk. We has one now. Start thinking about where these branches go off at. Right, like we've got one that's kind of coming down here. Goes off that way. We're going to do a trick. Rather than painting, there's a couple ways you would paint this. One way that you would paint it is that as you painted the tree where the center light was, you would add yellow and white to that black to make it seem more backlit. But we're going to use zinc and yellow at the end to create that effect, therefore saving us from having to paint it at this stage. So we can kind of focus on, oh gosh, all these little wiggly branches.
All the little branches.
There's so many little wiggly branches that do all kinds of little wiggly things, don't they?
Yeah.
And that's what you've kind of got to find out. And so first, before you do the tiniest little branches, you've got to get the support structures painted in. So let's paint in all these crazy support structures that will eventually lead to what is, I'm painting with a number 4 round, Art Sherpa round, and that's because it has a nice little point.
Now, Tammy was asking, is mixing white the same as zinc white?
Yes, or essentially. I mean, like chemically, no, but for the purposes of painting, yeah, exactly. And sometimes chemically it is. Sometimes people call it mixing white and it is a zinc white. Some people, they call it mixing white and it's not quite a zinc white.
It may be an extended white.
Yeah, but it'll still be transparent and it will still give you the effect that you're looking for.
They are interchangeable in this purpose.
Notice how the tree has so many turns and sharp turns at that. And again, you're not going to paint the smallest branches. Those will come sort of at the end. You know, I'm not sure that this is going to give me the result that I want for this, even though I can see this being like yeah, I don't think I'm going to like it for making tree branches. I think it'd be awesome in an abstract painting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or it'd be really fun to go over it after to give a thick effect. If that makes sense. Like, oh, we're going to go thick. Just paint all the twists and turns. Sing Morrissey in your head. You know the road, twists and turns. Right? Or not, if you're not a fan, I understand. I mean, I don't really understand, but, you know, it's okay. So just painting all these stronger branches, not the tiny little fiddly ones.
Well, because these are just the ones that are, you can see through the powerful light of the sun.
Yeah. These are thick enough to
not get
washed away.
Yeah. Overly backlit.
Loading your brush often is going to be key to succeeding at this.
Oh, well, thank you, Roberto. I know enough Latin to say thank you, but not be able to translate that. So cool.
Thank you, Roberto. There we go. Okay, so you kind of get the gist of this, right?
Yeah.
Now this is where most of YouTube would probably definitely give you a time lapse. And maybe that's wise, I don't know. But we're not gonna, so that's what happens for you. You get to be stuck with every branch, every moment. Not that I'm against it, I just didn't prep for it.
That's okay.
Because I would have had to have painted this whole sky once.
It would have been
and had it put aside, then demoed the sky,
Well,
then shown you some branches, and then fast forward the branches.
Everyone seems to be pretty happy that there's a lot of new people here. I just saw someone who said it was their first time. Oh, there it was. Jen. Jen just said, "This is my first time live, and I'm loving it. So thank you."
I'm so glad you're loving it, Jen.
And she has another 560 plus people here to hang out with, so she's not alone.
She is not alone.
So how you guys doing?
Hopefully good.
Seems to be doing pretty good.
Hopefully well.
And I think Zoe was just asking about the Posca pen. There's a little bit more of a delay now. So.
There is. So here's the issue with the Posca pens. They're fantastic on boards, sometimes on cotton duck canvases because the bumps. When you're drawing, you have to be super careful because they can splatter. I'll demo it. They're fantastic, and I would use one for this. The reason I wouldn't demo one for this is because then everybody would use one, and they would be like, that was harder than I thought. And I'd be like, yeah, Posca pens, the most awesome paint pen on the market. Yeah, and sometimes a challenge. Just looking at the tree for information on how the branches might possibly even be growing. And we know that we're going to come back again with another glaze. The sky class in itself was worth the day, though.
Yeah?
Don't you think? Like the sky class itself?
I've just been enjoying watching. Really. Just kind of, you're giving me, it's a target-rich pun environment, so.
I live for that.
I
live to create an environment where you can mock me.
Hang out here and.
I feel like that should have been in our marriage vows. I promise to remain mockable.
Can you imagine giving yourself the marriage vows now that you would write for yourself, but do it in full mockery, and then that would be fun.
That would be fun, right?
Although ours would end up at another Disney theme park.
Oh yeah, I love that. It's really great we have kids now because when we need to go Disney, we have an excuse.
We do. We can go now.
Same with movies. We have an excuse.
We just have to wait until we can be closer than 6 feet to each other. That makes roller coaster rides,
This is not a fast process.
No.
When you guys voted on this, I was like, okay.
That's okay.
As long as you asked for it.
They're loving hanging out here. Like they're, we're doing pretty good.
These kind of trees are wonderful, right? They're wonderful on Pinterest, right? When we do these, we get lots and lots of shares on Pinterest.
I think this is probably going faster than you think, though.
Probably.
Yeah. You're branching out pretty fast.
I love you. Even when you're bad. And you are bad. Building support branches is a very important job when making a tree. Tree branches go up. So I wouldn't say this was a spooky tree. In any way. It's a wise tree, maybe a magical tree.
I imagine lighting is everything for this tree.
Right.
Catch this tree on the right day. It's a spooky tree.
It has a blog about being good on Instagram, this tree.
got a great selfie blog.
My mom's like, I found somebody and they've got a whole thing on how to get better lighting on Skype. And I just think to myself, is my lighting bad?
I bet you this tree has a duck face selfie.
You know it does.
Yeah, you know it does.
Please don't freeze my duck face and make fun of me with it. You guys do that a lot. I don't care. I actually feel like my community can do that. Like, you guys put up with me. Make the fun you need to make.
It's the intertubes.
It's the intertubes. Be entertained by your intertubes.
We can't stop what happens because it's a series of tubes that connect us together. We can send messages, like they do at the bank with little vacuum tubes.
I just think certain people in certain jobs should have to take a test on basic things.
Like the tubes.
Like the tubes. If you're going to legislate like YouTube comments, maybe know what the internet is. Just saying. Just saying. And I'm for protecting minors for sure. From nefarious everything.
Everything.
Nefarious everything.
Those branches are pretty powerful.
Are they?
Those are strong branches. I like them.
This is what it takes to paint a tree like this. When we get all the way done, you'll have a very good idea of what's... Sometimes as a new painter, you could do it. You don't think you can do it, but you can do it. But what you don't know is that you're going to be there for 12 hours or 20 hours. Because like if it's going to take me 2 or 3...
Don't leave the tree.
Triple that or quadruple that if you're really new to painting, because you're going to be kind of proceeding a little slower and thinking about it a little more and taking your time and taking a break, getting physically tired. There's a lot of things that are going to happen. I know I make this look easy. I know I do. And it is. But that being said, it can be much more physically demanding than people think. And they'll be like, how do you stay on your feet for like 3 hours? I'm like, oh, super easy. I come from a family of art stamina. It's like required to be in my family to be able to like just paint for like ever.
If there was an art marathon contest, you guys would like...
I don't know. My mom did good when she did till midnight, from 4 to midnight.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty good.
Paint.
4 to midnight. 4 to midnight. I would do it, but I would do it like I would do more time if I could start at 8 a.m. and be done by like 9, 10 because I want to watch TV.
How did we turn into morning people? Oh, coffee. Never mind.
Coffee.
Yeah, that's what happened. Just, you wake up and you want that first cup of coffee in the morning, and then, you wake up a little earlier the next day because, you want that cup of coffee, and then you find yourself up. Man, I'm waking up before the sun's up.
So guys, when you're branching, I probably should have told you this earlier. You're probably mad now looking at your brush going, ah! Be careful how hard you press, because if you press really hard on your brush, those branches are going to get thick on you.
So
the trick of this is thin paint, pointy brush, light pressure. Under pressure, hanging down on me.
Wherever Mimsy is, it's 1:30 in the morning.
Wherever Mimsy is, it's 1:30 in the morning. Mimsy?
Yep. This is...
First of all, I love it. Second of all, wow, you're up so late.
Or early. Or that could be... I'm super committed to the coffee. I go to bed at 6 so that I can have the 1 a.m. cup.
He's in my check this out channel list. There's this guy, Rick Nicolero, and he paints like in the wilderness because like just painting for him is not enough. No. Yeah. He has to go into the tundra of... and then build easels out of woods and sticks and cook food and hunt deer and do all that while painting and disposing of water properly. And he is also an up at the crack of dawn painter.
Yes.
Because his light runs out.
And again, I'm going to say coffee. because
Coffee.
I've seen his channel.
Yeah. Does he have coffee?
I think so. Yeah, he makes the nice, in the pot.
I would love
percolated-
to take a look at his analytics and see how what his demographics are like. How many men are watching the show versus how many women? I think we'd be surprised.
I'm curious. But it's a really good show. It's like
Good show.
It's not highly narrated. There's a lot of cruising through the woods, doing stuff. But it's a visual storytelling channel for sure. If you enjoy the outdoors and want to see the outbacks of Sweden,
Mm-hmm.
it's awesome sauce.
And see someone build an easel out of twigs and berries. I'm not saying it's literal berries. I'm just saying
There were twigs.
there were twigs and there might have been berries.
Berries were eaten. Twigs were cut.
Berries were eaten, twigs were cut. Mistakes have been made. So my daughter, one of the things that she'll do, she'll come in and she'll be like, "Mom, mistakes have been made." I know to brace. So sometimes I just, like to take these and I wander my little brush around. Wonder, wonder, wonder. My little brush around. We're just trying to give this tree purpose and a reason to be.
Mm,
So,
it's a tree.
yeah,
I like it.
it's a tree.
But it has no ground to stand on.
Might be a nice also picture for you guys.
It lacks roots. It lacks
It likes everything right now.
ground. And there's no birds. No birds.
All right, I'm going to do a weird thing, guys. You ready for a weird thing?
Sure. What is that?
I am moving my thinned paint closer to me. Move it closer to me.
Why are you doing that?
The reason I'm doing this is so when I get my detail brush involved, I'm not having to travel as far to do all these little
Oh.
fussy bits.
If you want to pick that up and bring it near you, I don't know if it's too big probably today.
Yeah, this one's too big. I have ones for holding.
Yeah, you need a little hand palette.
I do have one of those. But here we go. So, if you thought that was an involved moment in your life,
Oh, now it's the... That is a detailed brush.
this is my #1 monogram liner. One of my favorite little brushes.
Is that the... Which brush is that?
#1 monogram liner, ruby
Monogram.
satin.
Yeah.
This little sucker here. And I will be using it to create so many.
Oh.
Little details that are happening.
Wow. All the tree.
Yeah.
Have to put all the leaves on there.
Yeah, it's going to be a whole thing.
It might fall if not.
Yep, it's something. It's definitely going to something or something or something. I have this little cat ring too that holds paint. I wish I remembered where it was right now at this moment.
Oh,
So it'd be
yeah.
like,
I can see if I can spy it for you.
I think it got packed or something.
I'm sure. I will see what I can. I'm going to leave you over here.
Are you going to leave me over here?
On
Find me a thing to
find
make
you
it
a thing.
easier? Other thing might be one of the Dixie cups upside down because I could hold it in my hand and just put paint on the top of the Dixie cup.
I'm sure we can work it out.
It's just a whole thing because we got to be here for a minute. If we don't do that. John's like, we can just call this a time lapse now. Oh, look, you've turned into YouTube to watch a lady draw 1,000 tiny little lines. Tiny little lines. Tiny little lines. Tiny little lines. Oh, yes, a fresh cup would be amazing. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my paint here. And I'm going to use my palette knife and put it on my cup. And this is going to give me some rest from not having my paint close enough. See how I've got here? So I just put the paint here. All right, now we're cooking with fire. Yeah, there we go. That's fantastic. You can kind of see what we're up against, right? I am okay. Every once in a while, do rinse out your detail brush. The reason being is that the paint will start to dry on it. That will make your life significantly harder. You okay? Okay. I'm fine. I'm doing nothing. A story of a tree.
We're asking about where you went to school and the various places that you studied and things like that.
Well, all right. I grew up I was born in Aspen and grew up in San Diego, California. Oh, okay. So what? So John told me a question you guys had, but I didn't know to repeat it. So I was asked, where did I go to school? And, where I grew up and all that. So I guess while we are painting endless branches, we'll call it story time. So I grew up in San Diego, California. And my mom has always been my entire life a painter. I certainly grew up at the knee of her in her studio. She was a smart mom in that she didn't teach me to paint because kids tend to resist instruction from their parents, as I've mentioned in other things. It's a smart thing to do. But she would drag me like everywhere with her, and she joined a group called the Watercolor Society because she did a lot of watercolors. And they would have these amazing free classes that they would do, and she would bring me to all the free classes. So even though maybe I didn't, necessarily sit down and have her teach me the way she might show you guys, she made sure I had access to incredible art education regardless of my age. And that introduced me to Southwest art, introduced me to a whole bunch of artists that, I individually on my own became fans of and excited about what they were making and what they were doing. She took me to the art museum all the time. I also had a very interesting art instructor in school, Mr. Newcomb. And Mr. Newcomb was a surfer. So often he was late for class, and we would be waiting outside the classroom, and he would show up with his wetsuit half on and dripping with his board. That was a whole thing. Because that was like that. And you know what? He wouldn't be alone. Like half the school would be gone if the sets were good. So surfing was like football is for most schools. Surfing was for my school. Everybody was about surfing. So that was the big sport that we all celebrated all the time. The art of surfing. So I grew up with that and going to art museums. And I got my Elmer cup. It's cracked. I got to get a new one. Is my hair in it?
If you lean backwards, is it good or more sweet?
That's good. It's good. It's good. So he and I definitely, Mr. Newcomb and I went around and around because at the time when I was painting, much like many kids, I wanted to be realistic in my artwork. I wanted to paint things that look like what they are. And I distinctly remember a day in art school where I had painted watercolored a really lovely barn. And it was a fall barn, so it had all those wonderful colors that you expect from fall barns.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so proud of it, because I'd gotten some really great dry brushing going on my watercolor. And my trees looked amazing. It was like, I felt like I had achieved personally at that age, probably a sense of this thing in watercolor where you've got to have soft blended areas against hard kind of lines. And that creates a very specific look in watercolor that at the time I admired or wanted at least. And so he looks at it and he's like, this is a geometrical shape in an agricultural area. And I was like, dude, it's a barn and a field. And he's like, yeah, but is that all you can do? Is that like all you have to say about that? But it's a barn and field, man. So we kind of went around and I remember I got really upset, as artists will sometimes do. And there was this row of easels that were solid and you could get this paper and you could roll the paper out across it. And I rolled the paper down all the easels and taped it down. And I do seem to remember being quite vocal at that moment. And I was like, is this what you want? And I was throwing a paint against the paper. Right. Here's what's amazing about that is that somehow that didn't result in a trip to the principal or the school office.
Don't know that happened.
And I have to say, like, at the time, I didn't think Mr. Newcomb was particularly cool because, he was trying to get me to paint non-objectively and to think more abstractly. But now I look back and I'm like, that was pretty groovy because my little butt should have been like, my mom should have been called and I should have been talking to my principal because I made a mess. But he was just laughing. And he was like, it's great. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm looking for, dude. It's great. And I'm like, more of this, man. More of this. And all the other kids are just sitting there, like watching, going, this is a weird day in art. This got real.
But you remember that day, don't you?
My whole life. It was a very good life lesson. A good lesson for me as a young artist. So that was my art school when I was in high school. So, either a wonderful lecture by a world famous watercolorist my mom got me into, or Mr. Newcomb. And I would watch my mom paint quietly, as my kids do. My daughter Luna loves to do that. She just wants to sit and watch me. Sometimes she also wants to tell me how to paint too. She's like, if I were doing it, I would do it like this. And she's very convinced that someday she's going to be your Sherpa. She's going to take over the show and be in the family business.
Luna is sure of herself.
She's a great artist. My kids are great artists.
You know what's crazy is that kid wins awards under the radar, and we're just like, she comes home, she's got first place in a major paint project that she did.
That she entered that we didn't even know she was in.
She didn't even know it.
She's little too, so I don't really know what's going on here.
And she won first place, and we're just like, she comes with this big award, and we're like, what's going on? And she's like, oh yeah, I won. And we're like, how did that happen?
And then the teachers are like, you didn't even come to your kid's art show. And I'm like, dude, I would have shown up.
We didn't even know.
She's like, oh, is that a big deal?
Yeah. So all the time.
I guess it's like breathing to her.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like it's.
She's also the singing narrator.
Oh, yeah.
That's a weird one.
I couldn't imagine where she got it, John. Why do you think she sings when she's happy? I don't know where she inherited it. I'm completely confused. So you guys seeing How many little fuzzy, little fluffy, little branches you've got
Mhm.
going on here that you've got to do minimum just to make this look anything?
That's a lot of branchiness.
A lot of branchiness and a lot of dottiness.
I'm glad I got an armrest.
I'm sorry, baby.
Oh no, it was fine. The table didn't have one
I
on it. so
warned him that today, I'm like, babe, today is going to be a thing. The watercolor, if you're into watercolor, I'm doing a botanical lesson on Facebook tomorrow in the morning. I think you're going to have to check the event on Facebook. You can find it on my art page or in the group, but I think it's like at 9 a.m.
Okay.
I have been going to a lot of these free events or paid events that they've been advertising on Facebook for different art things. And I have to say, we YouTubers, we're really good at what we do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm like, art on YouTube is kind of the bomb.
Yeah. It's happening. Now, in this technique, could you use things like sponges and stuff?
Sure. There's always a bunch of different ways to get into something.
It may
Right?
not give you the same exact look, but it would be very similar.
You could do something great.
This has that very detailed finish, sort of what they call it, fiddledy bits is what you call it.
I'm fiddling, right?
See,
Yeah, we're
'cause
fiddling with this. And so this is a very fiddly piece.
When you zoom in on it, man, you could really see those little branches. They make it look really cool. So,
And when it's a finished painting, I mean, it's going to be something, especially when we glaze out the center here
Mhm.
and do the little bottoms and get these little birds in. Oh, these birds.
So
Birds.
what I'll say sometimes, as I've observed, a painting like this is not particularly technically challenging.
No.
But it is challenging on the artist to be able to endure the amount of work that's there.
Right. That's what's hard.
And what I've noticed is that effort, when you put that effort of time in, rather than using a technique that might be faster, it might allow you to quickly go through there, but the viewer can tell when something took time. So
And respond positively to it because they do, in their mind, really feel it. I agree, John.
So there's a time, sometimes it's worth slowing down and just painting all the branches in.
And on this one, I really got the sense when it was voted for that that's what you guys were wanting, was to see all the branches go in. Because usually I would do sort of a general, kind of quicker example of this and then let you guys finish it out.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's good for me to show you what you would need to do if you wanted to create the look of something like this. And if you were home, as many people are right now, this might be a nice way to spend your time. A lovely, lovely, lovely way to spend your time. And also, it's nice to come in and chat. I'm sure anyone on replay isn't going to hear any of this because they're going to go fast forward. They're going to go skip, skip, skip. If you did listen to all of this on replay in real time, I've got to applaud you. Because the chat, when we're all here together in the chat, that's pretty exciting, isn't it?
It really is. I enjoy it.
And there's a community element to it. So the chats just kind of become their own kind of social activity. Just trying to get some of those little leaf effects that could be I like my little cup.
Makes it a little easier,
Yeah, I think so.
especially for this kind of work.
Especially for this kind of work. How do we like how that tree is looking? Is it delivering on the promise of the reference photo?
Oh, I think so. And there's lots of, I mean, they're not even getting to the delay. And, you know, Cinderella says,
Cinderella? Oh my gosh. Points for the cool name.
yeah, and that was, she just happened to be the awesome Sherpette who says, really love you, love your artwork. You're the best, best heart.
Oh. Well, you've just made my day. You've made doing all these little fussy branches for the next hour worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it really does. You guys do make this work very easy.
And all the comments are now flooding in because the delay has happened. They love it. It's gorgeous. It's amazing.
It's wonderful. That feels very good.
Now, Cinnamon does have a chance to come back in after the show and read these comments, and she does.
I do.
And
I come back in after the show and kind of go through on 2x speed and just to read the comments on real time.
yeah, just making sure she catches all the stuff that's coming in here.
Well, and sometimes we'll miss a question in a live,
Mhm.
and if I see that question come up a lot, then I'll just organically talk about it in another live that I'm in.
Oh, Leia was saying, remember when we did Red in the Woods? I thought I would never get through my trees. But when I did and you step back, wow. This is one of those things.
When you get through it, you're going to be super proud of yourself because we probably felt pretty good right here.
Mm-hmm.
Like this half of the tree, probably like there's one, there's the other, there's one, there's the other. You can see the difference.
Yeah.
Now, while I'm here, right, because I'm kind of doing half and half.
Yep.
I come here and go ahead and start to do some of these.
It's a spring-fall comparison there.
It really is. So with the birds, what I generally find is there's this shape, and you just kind of paint the shape. And then when they're all together, they sort of feel like themselves.
Christina says, big heart, Cinnamon. You're the main reason I started painting, this main reason I started and I keep painting. Thank you. With a little cool palette emoji.
Oh, I love palette emojis. Thank you. I appreciate that, guys. I so appreciate when you guys do that. That is such a wonderful boon for us.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Favolia?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's her name. It's the first time I've seen that spelling. Favolia? I believe so. Favolia says, when I painted the Sherpa's girl on a swing, I used just my wrist and not my shoulder too. So painting all of the branches, the next day my wrist hurt for several days.
Yeah. It can do that.
So you got to make sure you use proper posture and paint from the shoulder.
Paint from your shoulder.
What that basically means is that you hold on to the brush there. Well, Cinnamon can show you there.
Well, right now I'm actually painting
You're
from, I'm resting
bridge.
my hand on the canvas.
You're bridging.
Yeah, I'm bridging. And so I am kind of painting from my wrist.
Yeah.
When you're painting from the shoulder, you'll be painting back like
Much
this,
more there,
just touching. And so that it gives you a sense to be able to feel how hard your brush pressure is. One of the nice things from that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of birds.
There's a flock of them.
So many little birds here.
You know how you know it's not crows
Uh,
because it would be a murder.
oh no. And this tree definitely doesn't have a murder going on.
No. This has a flock. Maybe they're seagulls making music.
You just have to do those things, don't you?
I don't know.
So you can decide how many birds you want. I don't want to paint my birds in the tree, and I'll tell you a little bit why, is because sometimes things work in a photograph and don't necessarily work well in a painting. And one of the things that I think will be challenging is it'll be like a black glop. It won't necessarily read as a bird. So if I did, I would keep it kind of where an area where that bird shape would still really hold out.
Mm.
You know, because just better to have the little branches and it'll be up here, John.
I see you.
I might. It might be easier to come around like this. And go here. So I'm trying to plan, if you're a left-hand painter, you might do the opposite. I'm trying to plan that my hand as I move back is on dry paint.
Ah.
Right?
Oh,
So if
that
you were
makes
left-handed,
sense.
you'd want to be moving back this way. So you're not dragging through your wet paint.
Well, you know, if this was ravens, you know, then it would be a conspiracy of ravens. It might even be considered an unkindness of ravens.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Why are we so mean to these black
I
birds?
don't know. I think they get a bad rap. They're actually quite curious.
I don't know. I'll take the crow for that because it can't rain all the time.
It's true. See, and you know, I'm fond of raccoons and possums and skunks. They're quite friendly little animals.
I love skunks.
Just, I mean, don't want to get too close. Don't get me wrong. They've got, but, man, they're cool little creatures.
Very cool little creatures. I agree with that.
Possums too. Possums keep your area clean. How do we get on the animal talk? Oh yeah, because the
Murder
unkindness
birds.
of ravens.
Sip, coffee break.
We were just trying to fill the air with birds, I think.
When you got to paint a million branches, you have to be entertaining as well as talented because this is YouTube and that's what we do.
They require you.
I'm just trying to keep you awake.
Yeah, it's true. Otherwise, this
It's
turns
very
into,
relaxing to watch this, isn't it?
yeah, it turns into ASMR, and then you guys go to sleep, and then that's a whole different show. That's the nighty night show. But this is we went to see your paintings show, so we got to.
Do we feel like this is working?
I think it's working. I mean, you've got half a tree there.
There we go. The ground is going to be so easy comparatively. We're going to be like on the ground going, it's just nothing but a bunch of dirt. Dirt, 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 dirt. Dirt, 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 dirt.
Getting your paint mixed up there.
Yeah, just making sure it stays thin.
Mm.
And then you guys don't ever see me do this, but see these little streaks? When I do that, I come in and I twirl and I roll my detail brush out. And that helps wick any paint that's up in the ferrule from that mixing out.
Cleaning them out.
Yeah, I'm just cleaning it up. Things that you may not notice that I'm doing when I'm doing it.
There it is. Picture in picture.
Detail brushes matter. Just creating these little dots and these little expressions of leaves. Painting this big is pretty much like painting this small, but you get tired.
Expression of leaves.
Expression of leaves.
That's really a fall time activity. That's when they show out. They got Leaves have that's their best season.
They've done pretty well here, haven't they?
Whereas, springtime's really for the flowers.
Wait, at the end of this, you will have practice branches, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. You will have some stick
This is the
practice.
branchathon. This lesson from now and forthcoming among the Sherpettes, Sherpazoids, and Sherpanistas shall be known as the branchathon.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have an inside joke.
You do.
My kids are being super patient about this lesson. Can't see it lasting forever.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to be like, Mom, an hour tops. This is. But then they'll come in and they'll see it, and then they'll be it's mine. It's mine. No, it's mine. No, it's mine. So that's always fun when my kids want the painting. I always feel like I did really good when they're interested in it.
It's funny as Spider will come in and just sometimes run off with them. They're just gone, hanging on his wall. Just
Yeah,
gone.
he does. He hangs his own artwork.
He'll just come in and claim them.
No,
This
I'll
one's
be like,
mine
"Where's
now."
the ship painting?"
Just gone.
Just gone. Spider's like, I get but one bonus of being your child, and it is this artwork, and I am going to take advantage of it. So one of the tricks I'll say is that as you approach the end of a project that's very long and involved, the temptation is to start phoning it in.
Mm-hmm. That's the best. Yeah.
I would recommend to not do that. If you need to rest and come back to this job, if you did this over a series of several days to keep it fresh, the more time you spend on it, the more you're going to get out of it. Because at some point, that's what makes the painting.
Yeah. That's a lot of branches.
There's so many branches.
So many branches. Now, do you varnish every painting when you're done with them?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, why not?
Because I don't get to it. And acrylic, it's not like you don't. So acrylic can collect dust and everything, but as long as and you can get fingers on it, and it can be tough to clean. But varnish just unifies a finish. It can protect and extend the longevity of a painting, and it has those benefits. But other than that, in acrylic, I mean, they pretty much think this is. They used to be like, you got to varnish it, and now they're like, maybe not. However, here's what varnishing is cool. And again, like if I varnish this, these colors would pop. They would become so super saturated to the eye. It's like making. Have you ever taken a river stone and make it wet and it's shiny? It's a completely different rock. It's like that. So on a painting where that result would be important to me, or if I'm concerned about damage to the artwork, I will varnish. But it's a very time-consuming process, and you can only do it a few times a year because the weather has to be kind of perfect for it. And you can't do it where there's any pet hair or any kids can touch anything or bump it. So you have to make a plan when you're varnishing. A plan for success. It would be very easy. Trying to make sure that I don't phone in my branches on this side.
Mm.
So that's why. And John does a lot of my varnishing for me because if I'm spray varnishing, he's got to do it.
Yeah, which I
Some
don't mind.
propellant products like tire cleaner and stuff like that, I don't know what's in it, but it gets me, makes me dizzy and sick to my stomach. So, yeah, rather than like figuring it out, I've just said, you spray the things.
Well, the cool thing is that because I do a lot of automotive work in the garage, I have a lot of protective equipment. So I have the right kind of masks and things so that you can't even smell or be exposed to those chemicals.
Worked out real well for the coronavirus.
You just
Because we had all the masks.
Yeah, but they're the compartmentalized masks with the big canisters on the outside. So you look like you're from space if you walk around with one on. But
We even had the good ones for painting cars.
we did. We had
And a lot of rubbing alcohol for cleaning brushes and a ton of paper towels.
big things of denatured alcohol. Yep, we had lots of supplies.
That things that we never thought about in our studio that all of a sudden had a real relevance to what was going on around the world. That was very strange. So you can see I'm just trying to make sure that this stays full and oh, that's looking pretty good.
It's looking fantastic.
Sorry, guys.
I should have.
I'm so sorry.
If you would have warned me, I would have muted for you.
I thought it was going to go away. It did that thing where it seemed like it was going to go away and then it didn't go away.
All right, that's right. We captured the sneeze in full HD glory.
So that's another time you know that it's not edited. Because who would do this in real time if you'd edit it? You would always make the decision to fast forward through this. You would never look at this and go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just.
I had to reread that comment a couple times. Dania came in and it read when I first read it. I varnished my first 4 cats. Now, I'll cut to the end of it, but she felt like she varnished her cats because she varnished in a house with 4 cats.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
So,
the pets can really make varnishing time not fun.
Yeah. You have to make a plan to not varnish in a house with cats. Unless they're those baldy cats. And I'm sure you'd be fine. The Rex.
Or jellicle cats.
You'd have no problem. But for all the other cats, it would be bad. It would be more like a throw rug than it would be a varnished painting. And that's just from experience. Although your cats may be different.
They have a new food that you can feed a cat, John, to prevent allergies in people.
Huh.
You can own like cats or something now. If it's the dander allergy that you have.
I don't know. I think Twix. I think I'm a Twix person. I could use some more of these Twixes.
Now, to do the birds, I have to dry the tree. I do.
What?
So I'm going to take a minute and get a second coat on my tree trunk.
Oh yeah, you gotta get that in there. This is a cool looking tree.
It doesn't suck. Better than the kicking pants.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who's offering kicks in the pants. That saying always confused me.
Well, if somebody wants one, I'll be happy to give you one.
Just like, were these the options? It's like the trolley conundrum.
Oh, right.
So John is in a blog, not a blog, a group on Facebook. That's where all the drama comes from on the internet, period. He's in a group on Facebook, and I'll just do some far out, and then when I come back, I'll dry it so I can rest. And so somebody put up the trolley question. John, you can ask them the trolley question.
The trolley question's it's just sort of a philosophical question that addresses, if you had to make a decision between saving, there's an imaginary trolley going down the rail, and you're standing at the intersection. If you throw the and on the yoke of the track, on one side is a family member that you love, and on the other side is 5 people you don't know. And which way do you throw the switch? And so this is sort of a philosophical question that talks about, making decisions, and it doesn't really address a lot of things within that. And so that's the trolley question, so to speak.
So everyone's debating like what they would do the trolley question, and somebody had said right now, the way the world is, we think we're pulling the switch, but we're on the tracks. And John goes, I love this so much. Look, it happened. I have to
some
dry
stuff
it.
on you.
I have to draw it.
Okay.
But he goes in there and he says, look, I don't know what's going on here. He's like, but there's just no way I would let the trolley hit anybody. He's like, I would derail the trolley. I would fix the trolley. We would do anything but let that trolley. And why are we living in a world where trolleys are hitting people? That's the choice.
Yeah. So.
Let me draw this with a hairdryer. You can tell me about the Kobayashi Maru.
So, all right. There we go. So they'll let her dry that. So while, let's see, so what ended up happening is I was like, well, why aren't we doing this? And then so this other person came back and was like, well, you're just evading the conversation. You're evading the question. This is either you throw the switch or you don't. You clearly would delay. You've given me your answer. You would just stall and not make a decision. And I was like, well, no, that's not really the takeaway I would agree with either. Personally, I'm a sort of run towards the fire. You would see me jumping on the trolley, putting myself in danger to try to stop the trolley, rather than just sort of standing by, making a switch throw or not. So either way, you'd find me on the trolley trying to derail the trolley to make a decision about the trolley, and so that's kind of where I come from. But my point there was to sort of have a larger conversation about why it was necessary to see that the world only had an A or B choice. Like, why do we need to accept the choices that were handed to us? Clearly, whoever was in charge of this trolley was making some bad decisions, and the fact that we're only given 2 choices now is what I think we should be examining. Not necessarily that the fact that we're left with these 2 choices is the end result of a whole bunch of bad decision making. So let's look at that decision making.
You tell me about the Kobayashi Maru.
Well, no, for those of you who know about the Kobayashi Maru, it's like...
well, that was his final answer because the guy came back and said all this stuff. And then John's like, clearly you haven't heard of Captain James T. Kirk. Kobayashi Maru.
So, and that's not to say that to cheat the system is the only way to win, but being willing to...
examine the system probably is
and beat the system at all cost, maybe... part of some of the thinking that's required sometimes. So, it's not to say that there isn't a time for Picard when, we must follow the prime directive and do those things, but there's a time for Kirk. And, there are some times when we just have to kick the brakes aside and derail the trolley.
Derail that trolley. Derail the trolley. Do not accept the trolley anymore.
But
trolley is a lie.
To each trolley of your own,
Right. Well, in our own lives, isn't it?
We all have our own trolley to bear.
We all have our own trolley. Running impossible choice trolleys are happening all the time.
Well, and just to throw some more philosophical stuff on there, there's also the veil of ignorance, which is we can't know what we don't know, and so sometimes trying to make a good decision, we can't because we don't know what we don't know. And we can only make the best decision from the standpoint of the knowledge that we have. So
it's so true. Because you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes you can't know it till you go through it. Like, honestly, I bet everyone working on this current situation with COVID came away with information they never imagined they would have.
And I promise everyone, don't focus too much on the trolley. It is a metaphor for us about everything.
Or they like, this trolley sucks.
Well, no, but I mean, it's we sometimes we get focused on, well, how do we stop the trolley? Why do we have to make a decision? We must make decisions, good or bad. We have to be ready to play. And my point was to challenge the thinking of, to think outside the box, to examine questions that have presented and not necessarily accept the answers that were given to you for the choices you must make. Not that you should be afraid of making choices or that you should hesitate or question. But, this is some deep philosophical rabbit holes.
Well, that's what art is for, though. One of the things that I was very excited about when I started teaching art online is I don't know what the right choices are for people around the world. I couldn't possibly know. It wouldn't matter how smart I was, right?
Yeah.
Because I can't know what their life is totally and completely like. But people can figure out the right choices for themselves. However, I feel like the world is so noisy and so busy telling us what to think and how to feel. And one of the great things about art, one of the powerful things about art, somewhere in the middle of all these branches, you're going to solve a major problem in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be sitting there, and in that quiet contemplation of painting branches, some solution to what's going on in your family, your community, your own life, your work, whatever's happening will come to you. And I think people are capable of making good decisions when they're not inundated with just noise out there outside of themselves that doesn't take into account, what their life is like.
Yep.
You can't really know.
And these are
See, we painted so long, we're getting philosophical.
Yeah, I'm not trying to tow us out into the deep, deep
No,
waters.
I like to be on the deep, deep water. Let's be in the deep water on occasion. On occasion.
Sometimes, you have to be careful because these metaphors are deep, so it's but it's always good to examine your place in things. So, and art is a great way of reflecting that back upon you. So,
birds coming on, birds coming off.
I've had a chance to watch a lot of art.
Have you? So you've had a lot of chance to reflect, haven't you?
I have a lot of art watching reflection time. I might be one of the few professional people who watch
viewers of art.
Yeah, that's right. There are a few other people who get to, but this is it is deep water. But I think that it's good for us to occasionally tread out here so that we
with our waders on.
Yeah, it's
painting lots of little birds. Goodness gracious, I think we got our birds in.
Got some birds?
We got some birds
There's
in, and that was fantastic. Now we're going to put out some stuff, some colors again. I'm going to put out a little of my luminous opera.
I'm going to zoom that camera back out down there. Oh, look.
Just because it's such a fantastic pink. I'm going to put out some more of my Naples yellow light, which is really the tight knit kind of yellow color.
I'm going to zoom down on it so they can see how crazy that pink is.
We're going to do a couple touches that just make this fantastic.
Yep.
Are you ready to be fantastic, yo? A little transparent white, because we saw that really helped us with those radial things. And a little more of our opaque titanium white. Also helpful. So we're going to do a couple things. One, at this stage, we can kind of see what clouds are showing. And we're going to take our little domed brush or any little kind of round brush that'll let us kind of deal with some cloud things. And we're going to bring a little bit of our pink into our Naples yellow. And make sure that some of these clouds have a little bit of, maybe even a little of my cad yellow. Just some shading to them, if that makes sense.
It does.
They need a little bit of, oh, that's good. That's very bright.
Wow, that really is just.
Yeah, we haven't, we'll come along this base here now that we know where it is. Kind of give that a bit of a, look, glow.
That worked out really nice.
Didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You can glow if you want to. And you can.
You can glow.
You can glow.
It's totally optional.
And sometimes you're going to want to glow.
Mm-hmm.
You can always come back with a color if you're like, oh, that's too much. But this is the time when you can kind of see what you might need to do in the rest of the sky to
Just
kind of
catch up.
Make it even better. Why not, right?
Turning out really good. Yeah.
I'm just making good decisions.
Making good decisions. You're making good sky decisions.
Making some good sky decisions. Sometimes you got to make some good sky
Now,
decisions.
If anyone ever asks, this is the time. Remember when you were a kid and you spent all that time daydreaming with your head in the clouds? This is what it was for right now.
I love that.
So this is payback to all those people who said, what, do you got your head in the clouds? You're like, yeah, totally. Head in clouds. So I can make this painting.
So, and from now on and into perpetuity, whenever you're doing a very involved sky like this, it's head in the cloud time. That's what you tell your family. What are you doing? Heads are in the clouds.
You know,
Oh, that was a nice little touch, right? These little touches at the end can be huge for how you're. Oh, I think that glowed it up just quite a lot.
Mhm.
Rinse it out. This is the saddest paper towel. Look at that. Okay, I'm fine. I'm going to take a little of my cad yellow and my Naples yellow together. And I'm going to get a lot of my tinting kind of zinc into this. Now you can see how I didn't have to lighten the branches because the glaze is going to do it for me.
mm-hmm.
Now do?
Yeah.
So now that tree can have that sort of lightened. We're getting there. It's a procedure. Get some titanium white onto my brush. Again, this is just a 12 round blender.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're just out there. It's got a soft bristle. It lets us do this. That worked.
This is a really great tree.
Didn't that work well? It does work well. Ah, lovely, lovely, lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. You gotta think, wow, better than the picture. And that's always a nice feeling, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So now we've got some bushes. I have this little weird brush already loaded up. I'm going to grab whatever black I have kind of just still going around. And I roll it and kind of just dab it in a tapping motion.
Very nice.
This is going to make sure that our landscape has a bit of that And you can very easily go like that. It's a very nice tree brush, by the way,
Mm.
for making particular types of trees. Like that. How do we feel about that? Oh, looks like. All right. Votey votes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you guys feel like we lived up to our reference image?
Oh, I think you do.
Yeah, you are always
This looks
super nice
great.
about it.
Really, really turned out good.
Yeah, it's an involved painting, guys, but you got
It is
this.
an involved painting, and you just, I mean, like, knocked it out.
Yeah, that's
Everybody
what I do.
loves it. I think that, if I must say, Luminous Opera is the unsung hero of this painting.
Let's all do it together. Luminous Opera. And again, you could do it with just the quinacridone and other mix. This is just a wonderful color. You could do it with any bright pink that you had. So remember, when you see an artist like myself teaching in class where we have colors, know that we pick them because they behave in a certain way and we really love them. But also know that you've probably got something close in your own palette that will work, and don't panic about it. Enjoy the painting, do the painting, because that's when you get the results, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's when you get the growth.
Got to do the work.
Huh?
Got to do the work.
Got to do the work.
Paint in a tube is untapped potential.
Oh, I like that.
If you had 30 tubes of full paint, then that's cool, but 30 tubes of empty paint is 30 tubes of experience. Full tube, no experience. Empty tube, full of experience.
So what you see me doing here with this brush, I'm just trying to make a kind of landscape effect that, helps our tree feel. And in this one, I would varnish it. I would varnish this one because I think varnished, it'll become like so pretty. But again, if you're going to varnish it, just be careful, follow the instructions, and don't do it with pet hairs or on a rainy day or, with your fan running right over it, blowing dust into it.
So Mary just joined us.
Hi, Mary.
She was like, what's up with the solo cup?
Oh, so it just has my black paint on it because it took a lot of time. These branches took a minute at a time, so it was just easier to bring my paint closer to my canvas instead of trying to go from my palette to my canvas, my palette to my canvas.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to, I think, for the purposes of this painting, there it is right there. Also add
some detailed
little twiggy bits.
that adds that last little layer of completeness that says, I've had some attention to the detail.
Little bits. It's not a lot. It's just these little lines. And then anywhere I'm not happy with it, where I'm like, oh, that's a little too much, you just come in and, right? Fix it. Yeah. Because in a plant, in a world like this, there'd be little.
I just got my first pictograph message that I was able to read in chat.
Really?
Tree, sun, thumbs up, brush, palette.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Teresa.
That's really good.
I feel like my pictographs. What do they call it? It begins with an H. What's the language that they spoke? That they wrote the written language in Egypt?
Hieroglyphics?
Yeah, the hieroglyphics, but there was something else. It was a different.
No, it's hieroglyphics, wasn't it?
Maybe there's another word I'm thinking of though.
Okay. Probably.
I'll think of it later.
If you guys know, feel free to share with us.
Mm.
All right, thumbs up if you think it's good. If you'd like to see more like this, definitely hit the subscribe button if you have not already, because that's how YouTube notifies you. If you want us to notify you, which we didn't do today because we were out of gnomes, but which is text messages, you can text the Art Sherpa to 33222.
What are you doing over there?
I'm going to grab, I used some gesso, and I'm going to get my luminous pink, and I'm going to create a nice little color to sign my painting in.
Ooh.
And then after we've totally finished and we say goodbye, John is going to take you on a tour around the painting so you can see all the details. I got a couple little stage pictures so you guys, it's not so much a step-by-step, but you'll be able to see a couple stop stages.
Yeah.
To help you find your way through the painting.
And now my focuser is not locked, so it will work.
Okay, I'm going to turn around for it.
Sure.
All right.
Let's see here.
Picture. What do you guys think? Did we nail it? Is
I
it
think
good?
so.
Are we happy with it?
I think that turned out really good. It's amazing.
It was a pretty good little painting.
Yeah.
I likes it.
I like it too.
So hopefully you're liking your version and you have a better sense of how long a painting like this might take and what might be involved in creating it. I think having your expectations realistically set without oppressing your optimism and your dreams, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes when we try to be realistic about our expectations, we step down our optimism, right? Because we're like, no, that's no good. But it's really about saying, all right, I can do it. I can do it better than I think. And now that I know how long it's going to take, I don't have to be hard on myself or critical of myself for spending this amount of time doing branches because they just take that much time. And that's completely normal. There's nothing like hearing that how you're painting and what you're going through creatively is completely normal because it lets you just relax and enjoy it, which is why you do. I know John loves this time with you guys, but I'm sure he's ready to get up and stretch. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. And I want to see you at an easel really soon. John's going to take you on a tour around the painting. Tell me where to go.
Just to your right. There we go. And then look at that. Oh, I'm not going to zoom too far in because I want to see this whole thing. This is just amazing. Thank you, Cinnamon, for doing this. I know I'm your husband, but I think this was a great painting. And everyone else really... Cuneiform! Hey, that was the word I was looking for.
Okay,
see,
cool.
Mary, thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
There goes in the delay. But there you go. Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys so much for the support. Hopefully I'll see some of you for the watercolor class tomorrow morning on Facebook.
Bye-bye.
Bye.